People think the worst day of their life announces itself. It doesn't. It arrives quietly, like a letter slipped under your door while you're sleeping. You don't notice it at first. You wake up, make coffee, breathe the same air, and only later realize everything you built is already burning. But before I tell you about the day my life fell apart, you need to understand the day it all began. 20 years ago, in a bakery that barely existed, and a girl no one else saw. The bakery on Maple Street. My name is Clara Whitmore, and for most of my adult life, I owned a small bakery on Maple Street in a quiet Pennsylvania town most people only passed through. It wasn't glamorous. The sign was hand-painted. The floors creaked. The ovens overheated if you ran them too long. But the smell, butter, sugar, yeast, hope, that bakery saved me long before it ever fed anyone else. I opened it at 28, fresh out of a divorce that left me with nothing but a last name I refused to keep and a debt I didn't deserve. I worked 16-hour days, burned my hands, slept in the back room some nights with flour in my hair and tears on my pillow. Still, I loved it. Because when you bake bread, you create something honest. No lies, no shortcuts, you get what you put in. Or at least, that's what I believed back then. 2, the girl by the dumpster. She appeared one winter morning. I remember because the cold had teeth that day. I was unlocking the back door to throw out yesterday's unsold loaves when I saw movement near the dumpster. At first, I thought it was a raccoon. Then she looked up. She couldn't have been more than 10 or 11. Too thin. Hair tangled and cut unevenly like she'd done it herself. Wearing a jacket that once belonged to an adult man. She didn't speak. Just stared at the bread in my hands like it was something holy. "Hey," I said gently, "you hungry?" She nodded. I looked around. No parents, no car, no one. Town rules said not to encourage loitering. Common sense said not to invite trouble. But conscience doesn't care about rules. I handed her the loaf. Her hands shook when she took it. "Thank you," she whispered, like she was afraid the words might cost her something. "What's your name?" I asked. She hesitated. "Lena." "Where's your family, Lena?" She shrugged. That shrug carried more pain than most people manage in a lifetime. I went inside and came back with a paper bag, 2 rolls, an apple, and a muffin I'd meant to eat later. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just said, "I won't forget this." I laughed softly. "You don't have to." But she looked at me like she already knew something I didn't. 3, kindness becomes routine. Lena came back the next day. And the day after that. Sometimes she waited near the alley. Sometimes near the front door, pretending to read the menu posted in the window. I never asked questions I wasn't ready to hear answers to. I fed her. Eventually, I let her sit inside near the heater, gave her hot chocolate, cleaned a cut on her knee. She told me pieces. Her mother had died. Her father drank, then disappeared. Foster homes hadn't worked out. "I don't stay places long," she said once. "You could," I replied. She smiled sadly. "People always say that." 4, the day she vanished. One morning, she didn't show up. Then another. Then a week passed. I checked shelters, asked around. No one knew anything. I told myself she'd found help, that someone better equipped than a tired baker had taken her in. But I kept an extra loaf aside every morning for months. Just in case. Eventually, life moved on, because it always does whether you're ready or not. 5, 20 years later. By 48, I thought I'd earned stability. The bakery was successful. I'd expanded, hired staff, even bought the building. I married again, Ethan, a man who smiled easily and promised safety. I trusted him. That was my mistake. Because betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from people who sleep beside you. 6. The collapse. It happened fast. An audit. Missing money. Loans I never signed for. Then the bank froze the accounts. Then Ethan disappeared, with my savings and my accountant. By the time the truth surfaced, it was too late. The bakery was seized. My name, once respected, became gossip. Poor Clara. Didn't she see it coming? She was always too soft. I lost my business, my marriage, my reputation. And one rainy November evening, I sat alone in my empty apartment with the lights off because I couldn't afford the bill. That's when the knock came. 7, the woman at my door. She stood there in a tailored coat. Confident, composed, familiar in a way that hurt. Clara Whitmore, she asked. Yes. Her eyes softened. My name is Lena. The world tilted. I don't know if you remember me, she said quietly, but 20 years ago, you fed a homeless girl behind a bakery on Maple Street. I felt my knees give out. She caught me before I fell. For a long moment, I couldn't speak. I just stared at her, this confident woman standing in my doorway, trying to reconcile her with the silent, starving child who used to clutch warm bread like it was treasure. Lena, I whispered. She nodded. You used to braid my hair when I fell asleep at the bakery table. My chest tightened. I looked for you, I said, for weeks, months. I know, she replied softly. I watched you sometimes, from across the street. I was scared if I came back, I'd be taken away again. I stepped aside without thinking. Come in. She took in my apartment with one glance, the bare walls, the half-packed boxes, the shame I hadn't bothered to hide. You lost the bakery, she said, not as a question. I laughed bitterly. I lost everything. She sat across from me, folding her coat neatly. Then it's my turn. 1. Lena's story. After she disappeared, Lena was placed in a group home 2 towns away. She ran. Was caught. Ran again. At 16, she aged out of the system with nothing but a GED and anger sharp enough to cut. I remembered you every time things got bad, she said, because you didn't ask me for anything, you didn't try to save me, you just fed me. She worked 3 jobs, slept in her car, put herself through community college. A professor noticed her, sponsored her. Law school followed. Corporate law. Mergers, acquisitions. And investments, she added, a lot of them. I shook my head slowly. Why are you here? Her eyes hardened, not cruel but focused. Because the people who destroyed you tried to destroy me once too. 2. The truth about Ethan. Ethan hadn't just stolen from me. He'd targeted me. Lena slid a folder across the table. Your husband has done this before. 3 women, all small business owners, all financially independent, all trusting. My hands trembled as I flipped through evidence. Bank transfers, shell companies, recorded calls. He underestimated one thing, Lena said calmly, that I don't forgive people who prey on kindness. Tears burned my eyes. Why help me? She leaned forward. Because 20 years ago, you treated a homeless girl like a human being, and I built my entire life trying to become someone worthy of that moment. 3. The quiet revenge. Lena didn't storm in with lawyers and headlines. She was smarter than that. She froze Ethan's offshore accounts, exposed his accountant, triggered federal audits. Then, only then, she filed suit. By the time the story hit the news, it was Clara Whitmore loses bakery. It was. Local business owner, vindicated in multi-million-dollar fraud case. Ethan was arrested quietly. No dramatic courtroom confession. Just handcuffs. And silence. 4. What she gave me back. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. Lena restored my credit. Cleared my name. Recovered what could be recovered. Then she did something I never expected. She bought the Maple Street Bakery building and handed me the keys. I don't want it, she said. I want you to have it. I cried harder than I had in 20 years. Final part, the bread comes full circle. The bakery reopened in spring. Same smell. New sign. W. Chaitimori and Lena Bakery. We hired kids aging out of foster care. Paid fair wages. Left extra bread outside every night. Sometimes, a child stands near the alley. I always go out myself. Because you never know which small act will echo across decades. People ask me now how I survived losing everything. I tell them the truth. I didn't. I was saved. By a girl I fed when no one else would. The end.